This video is kindly sponsored by Project Red. Check the link in the description to find out more. Hello everyone, welcome to this week's Meet a Maker. Today we are meeting Fernando, otherwise known as DSK001. Is that correct?
Yep.
Cool, beautiful. Hello Fernando, how you doing?
Hi, Billy. Good.
Good. Thank you so much for coming on. This is really exciting. You have some awesome
Thank you for
models.
having me. I was not expecting this.
Oh, well, it's lovely. And you do some awesome stuff. So I'm sure people will be very keen to hear all about it. So shall we dive in? What are some of your most well-known projects? Like when people recognize you, what's it for?
So I believe I'm known for some of the 3D models I make that I post up online for others to be able to 3D print. Some of the more known ones would be the big Borderlands shotgun. That's big and red. There's also a few Batmobiles I've done. And my most infamous one, sorry Shane, would be the mix-up of Star Wars and Star Trek with the mix-up of the two ships.
Never!
Who knows which one it is?
Star Trek Wars or the Star Wars Trek. Wasn't that a Futurama joke? And they like cross them over and
Yeah.
causes an argument. Yeah. That's awesome. So how do people react to that one? Do they
They
do you get hate mail?
hated it or they loved it. Some said that it was the best thing they've ever seen. Some told me they wanted to shoot me into space.
I can imagine that. I feel like both those fandoms are like very strong opinions.
Very much so.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome though. So what got you into making? Like what kinds of crafts and art forms have you done over your lifespan? Is it just 3D printing or did you start elsewhere or tell me about your creative journey.
So I think this would have started back when I was a teenager, maybe even sooner, when I was watching my dad and his cousin making stuff out of plywood. You know, back then we didn't have as much as we did now, and instead of being able to go to IKEA or Sears or buy something, they would go to Home Depot, buy some blank plywood, cut it up with a handsaw, and then use some nails and glue it all up together. And so some of the furniture we had at our homes were made by them.
That's so cool. Did they have a like formal training in that, or did they just kind of do it themselves?
No, I don't think they had any training at all. They just did it themselves, and you can tell in the craftsmanship at the end of the day. It still worked, but it wasn't the prettiest.
Hey, if it works, it works.
Exactly.
And did you help them out with that? Is that how you got into it?
So obviously, when they first started, I was still too young to be able to do anything. But as they got older, he's like, "Oh, put a knee here to hold down the plywood so it doesn't fall off, or grab this piece, or pass me this hammer." And then later on, I actually saw him open up a VCR and start doing soldering. So then I got interested in electronics and stuff like that. So yeah, I think I could blame them two for it.
That's so cool. That's so cool. I remember my mum also building stuff around me when I was a kid, and she still tells this story where she was getting me to hold a nail while she was hammering it, and she bashed my finger, and like I don't remember this at all, but she still feels terrible about it. Like to this day, if she remembers it, she will start like almost welling up because she bashed my finger.
Oh.
With this. She's like, and you were so little and you were trying. Oh yeah.
Man.
So I hope you had no incidents like that.
Well, I think I'm in your boat. I probably don't remember them. I'm sure there were.
Yeah, at least they don't feel as bad as my mom does, I suppose.
Oh, I feel sorry for that.
So when you got into electronics and stuff, is that how you ended up in 3D printing through electronics, or did you just come across printing?
So through electronics, when I was younger, I was thinking, oh, well, I want to do electrical engineering and try to study that. And then in high school, there was an engineering course, which had nothing to do with electronics. It was just CAD. But that was the first time I got into it, and we were using AutoCAD, 2D CAD. But using, perspective and whatnot, you had to mimic 3D shapes, and I was really into that. But after that, I had no access to it until back when I was in college, and then I got my hands on SolidWorks for the first time.
Right, cool. So what were you doing in college at the time, if you could say?
I was studying computer science because I had changed from electrical engineering. Because once it got to those analog circuits, I'm like, no, it's not for me.
I have like glanced in at electronics and then been like, I don't understand anything, and then like crept back into the bushes. It's like
I'm
a whole
okay
other
with digital
world.
stuff, but once you get into analog, there's some intense math in there.
Oh gosh, no. Oh, calculus kills me. This kills the Billy. Well, that's cool though. Yeah. So, okay, interesting, interesting, interesting. And that eventually led you into 3D printing?
So yeah, while looking into SolidWorks and learning how to 3D model, I'm like, oh, I would love to be able to make some of the stuff that I'm modeling. And then a few years later, the first one I think was one of those first rep wraps made out of like those thin sheets of plywood. I'm like, I want one, but of course, I was never gonna have one on a college budget. It was, I think the first ones came out with like 2000, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a
But
while ago. I remember that. Yeah.
yeah, I wasn't able to get a 3D printer until the M3D Micro came out, and I was able to purchase that one, and that's where
Cool.
it started.
And how long ago was that?
I think that was 4 or 5 years ago now.
Yeah, cool, cool, cool. Yeah, you got into it earlier than me then. That's awesome. And
A little
yeah.
bit.
That's so cool though.
But I
And
wasn't part of the
oh, sorry.
community. I didn't even know that there was this whole, group of people really into it and sharing ideas and models and stuff like that until probably 2 years ago.
Wow, so you were doing it solo all that time. That's interesting. Was that
hmm
hard?
Um, Sort of like I knew of Thingiverse and I got a model from there and I would print them, but I didn't know, I wasn't on social media back then. I didn't have Twitter. I didn't use Facebook much. Well, Reddit I think didn't exist or was just starting. So yeah, it just wasn't known to me.
There you go. Wow. Wow, I don't think I would have made it in printing on my own because I failed so much at the beginning, and if I didn't have people who like wrapped their arms around me and showed me what's what, then I think I would have never. I
Uh,
don't think I ever would have got into it.
no, so yeah, I was sort of on my own. I went into the M3D micro forums and people were posting. They're like, "Oh, try this, do that," and I didn't really post much. I mostly lurked, and from others' errors, I was able to learn. It's like, oh, well, this is getting heat creep because it keeps failing at this point and this and that, and so slowly learned a lot the
Gotcha,
hard way.
gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, well, that makes sense then. Yeah, I do like learning from other people's mistakes because then I don't have to make them. But I definitely made a lot of mistakes.
They're cheaper that way.
They are cheaper, yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. So you got into the CAD first. That's awesome. Were you
hmm
were you designing different things before you got into printing with the
So
CAD?
before I got into printing, I would try to design a few things here or there, like keep practicing because I really wanted to do stuff, but without a way of making it and without having many ideas, I didn't do much. It was a few things here or there. I know I once designed what my dad's house now is in the Dominican Republic.
That's
So I had
cool.
that in CAD somewhere. It wasn't super detailed, but I had all the walls and the doors and the windows and stuff. It was basically a floor plan.
That's so cool. That's really cool. There's something so magical about holding an object in your hands that you like thought up and like made on the computer, and
Mhm.
then it's just so magic having it in the real, isn't it? I totally understand
Now,
why
I
you'd,
haven't
yeah.
been able to print it because since then I've lost the file, so I would have to redo it again. But I'd
Oh,
probably be able to add a lot more details, and maybe one day I can give that to my dad as a gift. Here's a little house of your house.
that would be cool. I think that would be an awesome gift. I've been thinking about that for people. I reckon, yeah, like a little mini house would just be so cool.
Yep.
Definitely. Hell yeah, hell yeah. So, you mentioned CAD. Are there any other skills or techniques that you've picked up along your making journey?
So I've dabbled in quite a few things. I know I've taken some digital art courses. So I've done a bit of Photoshop. I've done a bit of Dreamweaver, a little bit of Inkscape, some HTML in the past, C++, Java. But of course, like most things, if you don't use it, you lose it. So most of it is not really fresh in my mind. But I've dabbled in a lot of little things.
That sounds very, yeah, like most makers seem to have dabbled in a lot of stuff. I know
Yep.
I definitely have, and it seems like everyone we interview has done a million things as well, so must
Jack
be a
of all
thing.
trades, master of none.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I love Photoshop. I learnt that when I was, oh gosh, actually a child. I don't know that I could learn it as an adult, because it's like so complicated. But I definitely liked it as a kid, and I still use it a lot. Oh God, weekly probably.
Yeah, I've
It's
noticed as a
awesome.
kid, people tend to be less afraid to push buttons and mess up.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
Photoshop doesn't seem as intimidating because it's just like, oh, well, what does this one do? What does that one do? What does that one do?
Yep.
And they just go through the whole thing until eventually they have a good idea of what to do.
And they have the time to do that too, and they're like,
Yeah.
I reckon as an adult we have a goal in mind, and every moment that we're not achieving that goal we just get more and more frustrated, or at least I do. I found Fusion 360 really hard to learn, like, and I've got there now and I really enjoy it now, but it was a big like hurdle for me. And it was just like, I just want the
Okay.
thing. So yeah, I don't know, maybe I'm alone in that, but I get really frustrated when there's
No, I think I understand what you mean. Yeah, because usually you want to learn a program because you have a goal in mind, and then your whole point of learning it is to get to the goal. So if you can't get to the goal, it makes it frustrating.
Oh, what CAD software do you use? Are you still in the AutoCAD realm?
So I currently use Fusion 360
Okay, cool. Same thing. Cool, cool. Beautiful.
and
Yeah, it's
trying to
great.
branch out into others. I know I need to watch your Scope GL video to see if I broaden my horizons a little bit.
That would be cool. You make cool stuff, so that would be cool. I really like with Sculpt GL because it's much more like working with clay. It's not CAD at all,
Hmm.
really. It's not like parametric and stuff. But I really enjoy making something in Fusion and then taking it into Sculpt GL and doing pretty things on the object. So you could like make a box or whatever.
Exactly what I need to know how to do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's really good. You just export it as an STL, bring it in, re-topologize it so that it has a good mesh to start with. Otherwise, the STL is like weird, jagged triangles everywhere. But then once you've got that, you can just like sculpt into it and make pretty stuff on it. So I quite like that as a technique. It's like a good bridging, I think, between the fusion and the sculpt.
Maybe that's one video you should do.
Maybe I should. Okay, I will write that down. Yes, I'm making a note. So when you've made a lot of really cool stuff. A lot of them
Thank you.
are sort of inspired. Yeah. See, it seems like a lot of them are inspired by pop culture and stuff. Is that where you normally get your inspiration, or do you get it from other places as well?
Uh, no, yeah, I think you're right. It would be a lot of pop culture things now that I think about it, video games, sci-fi movies, things like that. Um, I would love to do more functional things. It's just I don't know what to do.
Well, your
I
pen
know
boxes are
I've
awesome.
tried.
Like
Yeah,
your
thank you.
your fountain
I
pen
did
boxes
enjoy
are
those.
beautiful. They're gorgeous.
I
People went nuts for those.
Yeah, they did, and I opened up the Etsy shop, and the first month I was bombarded. I couldn't even keep up,
That's
and then all of a
awesome.
sudden everything just died off.
Everyone bought it all at once. But
Basically.
hey, it's kind of how the internet works, though, isn't it? It's like
Yep.
everything's hot for 5 minutes. But still,
So I
it
have
was
that
really
little
hot for
15
that
minutes of
time.
fame.
You were all
Yeah,
over. Yeah, they're awesome. They're really beautiful. I just love the way they, yeah, display them. And yeah, it's beautiful design. Well done.
thank you. Yeah, I keep a few here next to my desk at all times, just in case.
Show one. Put it up on the
Oh,
camera.
sure. Yeah, let me get this double one up. So here's one, and then
Okay.
you could open it from the front, and
Ah,
there you
beautiful. I love the way they
go. Oh,
lift up.
So that was a special model. That one I don't put up for sale because you notice how it's just all one piece. Usually there's a split between them.
Oh, that's a special one.
Hmm. Just for me.
Beautiful. Good. You should keep something beautiful for yourself. That's awesome. Yeah, they're lovely. They're lovely. So when you start a project, what's that first spark like, and what's your creative process like, I suppose?
Mm,
It's a
I
hard,
guess it
broad question.
depends on if I'm trying to do something functional or if I'm doing something like a prop or like a display or like a little vehicle or something. Um, Obviously, for the functional, you have something that you need to fix, and usually you just have to recreate whatever it is. So you would start off by taking as many measurements as you could, and then trying to put that into CAD and get something to work. So you would hopefully end up with something that'll work and fix the item that's broken.
That's cool.
That is
Oh,
one of my favorite things. I was able to fix about 4 or 5 of those pairs and give them out. And in total, I think I spent $50 buying broken headphones.
that's
Ended up
awesome.
with what would be equivalent to maybe $300 in headphones.
Wow, that's so cool though. And like from a sort of from a ecological recycling standpoint, really, really cool as well. Like to be able to give something like that new life again and not have it go to landfill. That's awesome.
Yeah, those usually are my favorite kind of things. Something that I can make to fix something else and give it new life or have it continue working on. But of course, with those kind of things, the opportunity has to show up. Something has to break.
Yeah, true.
So they so they're not as common.
Mm, mm. That's cool. And what about your more yeah, like the more like the less functional ones, I suppose.
Yeah, so for those, the process would be to think up of something. Sometimes I'll just be on Discord and somebody be like, "Oh, it'd be nice to have this made or that made," or I'll watch something on TV or be like, "I want that." And then from there, the first piece that you would have to do is get a whole bunch of reference images. Just
Gotcha.
start
Yeah.
scouring the net, getting images, trying to get the left, the right, the top, as many angles as you can, so that you could try to recreate it visually in whatever software you're doing.
Yep. That makes a lot of sense. So you like being quite accurate then when you're making something like a prop or
I have been called a perfectionist at times. I have
yeah.
tried to break it more recently, because if not, there are models I never would have finished.
Yeah, sometimes it gets a bit much. But it's really, really cool to have something really accurate as well. Like, yeah, I know, especially with cosplay and stuff, that's really important to a lot of people. So, yeah, and anything pop culture has to be accurate, or yeah,
Yeah,
otherwise people, yeah,
they'll freak out and be like, no, that's wrong. No, this,
just
this should have been, an inch over.
yeah, like they will. People are like that. It's crazy,
Yeah,
but it's kind of
I've
cool.
had
Like
one
it's
or
very
two.
satisfying.
But at that
Do you
point, I'm like, I'm done. You take it or you leave it.
make your own? There's quite a few people like that online, I think. With my posters, like my CAD posters and stuff. I remember when I did
Hmm.
one on what software you should use, and everyone on Reddit had an opinion about that one. And basically, most of the opinion was more Blender. Just more Blender. Blender in all the categories. More Blender. And I was like, Blender doesn't even really make manifold objects all that well. And I wouldn't recommend it just as a total newbie. And especially before 2.8 came out or whatever, like the newer version. It was the older version of Blender, which was like
Hmm.
really from a user interface crazy. And yeah, everyone had an opinion on it. And I was like, go make your own. Like, I made this one. You're welcome to make your own. And then no one did. So yeah,
Yeah,
I think
no, because
sometimes people
of
just like to
course it's a lot
complain.
of work that you have to put in there and make it all nice and pretty.
Yeah. Yeah, same with models too. So, yeah, they can complain all they want. There were reasons I picked those ones. Yeah. Oh, cool. So, do you ever find any struggles as you're going through your creative process? Like, is there anything, yeah, that you find frustrating or difficult or have in the past found frustrating or difficult? Or is it pretty
So
smooth
I
sailing?
don't know if this happens to other 3D modelers, but I know Usually, at least when I'm trying to make something that's visually appealing or like a chip or whatever, I'll do all the visual parts first without worrying about making it printable. Just make sure
Mm.
everything looks right. Once I get to that point where visually it's done and I have to try to make it printable, that gets a little harder because then you're sitting there and you do 2, 3 hours of work and it looks exactly the same. So
Yeah.
it feels like you've done nothing at all.
I can understand that. Yeah. Yeah, I suppose I don't do too many visual models, but like I don't replicate that many things. But if I did, I can fully understand. Yeah, it would be a balance between making it accurate and making it printable for sure. And that would be so frustrating. Working from the visuals back. Oh my God, I can only imagine.
Yeah, because doing the whole visuals, it's usually quick or fun, or it's like you see the progress. Once the visuals are done and you just have to try to cut up the model and add pegs here and do a slice there, it's like boring stuff. It's just trying to make it work.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I never really thought about it before, but that would be, that would be, I would drag that out. I guess that's why I avoid support materials so much. I just like, yeah, and I don't really make duplicate things, so I always just design away the supports and design away the need to split it into pieces because I do. I hate doing that bit. I've always avoided that. I'm just realizing it now. I can't imagine what it'd be like for
Yeah,
something as complicated as the models you do.
but yeah, you push through it. But there have been some models I've taken a significantly longer than probably they should have because of that. Because like sometimes you'll work on it, you'll do a bit, and then it's like, no, I just don't want to go back to it, and it'll sit there for a month or two.
Yeah, I can understand that for sure.
But you eventually get back to it because once it actually is finished and you have it in your hand, it feels so much better.
What brings you back? Like, what keeps you going when it is frustrating like that?
That's a good question. I'm not 100% sure. I guess just that it's in the back of my mind that it needs to be done. So
Hmm.
I'll eventually get to it, but I'm not sure. I don't know if I have a drive besides it needs to get finished.
Hmm. There you go. That's interesting. Sorry, that was probably a really weird question, but it's
No,
interesting
that's fine.
finding what brings
It's an
people back.
interesting question, and I'm sure there's people who's like, oh no, they have their reasons, but I can't think of one. The only one that I can think of is that I need to finish it at some point. So
Hmm. That's cool though. I often abandon things, so I sort of wish I had that little nagging voice that told me to finish things. I feel like I would get more done that way. I would
I
almost
won't
feel
lie, there have
envious.
been some abandoned projects. There was one I was thinking of doing where you would toss a coin to something and it would sing the song, and it just never finished.
Oh, like for The Witcher? Was it for?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I was rewatching that last week actually. Yeah, so very fresh in my
I
memory.
I might go back to it whenever the next season comes, but yeah.
That is pretty cool. I reckon people would go nuts for that. That would be amazing. Very, very cool. That's a neat idea. Actually, I have a friend who is working on some of the 3D scanning for that film, for the
Ooh.
series rather, season two, I think. I'm not sure whether you accepted that job, but he was talking about it, so that'd be cool. Unfortunately, he can't
Well,
share
if
his
he does,
scans
that
with.
would be awesome.
Yeah, unfortunately, he can't share his scans after, but he worked like on all the Harry Potter films and uh, Judge Dredd and like a whole bunch of other stuff. But then he can't share all his cool scans, and I'm like, oh,
Oh, I'm sure there
I
were
get
people
it,
that
but
would
oh,
kill for those.
right? Like I feel like yeah, I feel the same way. But he like he has like Luna's wand and stuff, and he prints them for his daughter for her birthday and stuff. It's so
Oh
cute. I'm
man.
like, oh, so cute. So she gets like the real one, kind of, 3D
Yeah,
print of the real one.
it,
Yeah, so
it's as accurate as you're ever gonna get.
literally the most accurate, but can't use it for anything. So it's pretty cool though.
That is awesome.
So have you mentioned your Etsy store? Is that the only
Yes.
way you make money from the things you make, or do you do it in other ways as well?
So I have the Etsy store and I do have a Patreon. So every month I do get some contributions, but at the moment I think it's just those.
Cool, 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 cool. Lovely. I'll pop your Patreon in the link description and your Etsy store. We'll put them in the description.
Thank you. I appreciate
Beautiful,
that.
beautiful. Um, so do you have any advice for other makers when they're making their projects? Like, I don't know, anything that you've picked up along the way that just makes life a bit easier or yeah, I'm asking tough
Mm,
ones.
uh, I don't know if it would be tough, but it's stuff that you don't normally have at the tip of your tongue. You just
Yeah,
sort of have to
sorry.
sit and think about it for a little bit. No, that's fine. Thinking's not a bad thing. Um, One I can think of is don't try to do too much at once. Like you were saying, when you try to learn a new software and you have a goal in mind, don't make that goal too big, because if not, you're gonna get frustrated and then you're not gonna finish it. Try to take small steps, or if possible, make your first goal to maybe learn a bit of the software and then go back to your other goal, so that way you're not constricted to just learning the part of the software you want to learn to get your stuff done.
This is terribly sensible, Fernando. I feel like if I did these things, I would be happier. Yes.
I
That
understand.
is.
Yeah, it tends to be easier to say the good advice than usually to do it yourself.
I believe you do it though. You're that kind of person.
Sometimes.
um, this is kind of a weird question, but
Hmm.
it's another big one. I'm just asking big questions all over. I'm sorry. But I was thinking that this might be a cool question to introduce into the pool. If you had unlimited resources, like it just didn't matter, money or time or whatever, what would you make? And it could be anything. It doesn't have to be an object. You could set up an institution.
No,
You could do
I
whatever.
I have an answer pretty quickly in my mind because it's
Oh,
something I've
good.
wanted to do for many years, and I guess I technically could, but mm, a full Iron Man suit.
That would be awesome. That would be
Yeah,
amazing. Yes. I've seen one
that
of
I
those in
have
real
always
life and it
wanted to
was
do.
awesome.
I've seen one or two at Halloween because living in New York City, when you go to the big parade, you see some crazy costumes. I've gotten to see one or two, and it's mm,
Yes, I can see it on your face. That would be amazing. You should start that project. That would be so cool.
that would be amazing. It'd be a tremendous amount of work, and I don't know if I
Tremendous
have
amount.
anywhere to put it, which is the issue.
That's a yes. Well, you could just wear it all the time and then you wouldn't need anywhere to put it.
Problem solved.
Problem solved.
But yeah, as you can see, living in New York City, space is limited. I am right now under a loft bed because I don't have anywhere else to put my computer, which is probably a question that some of your viewers are going to be like, what is all these slats over his head? It's my daughter's loft bed.
Love it. Good old IKEA, hey? Was it IKEA? I don't know. All the
No.
loft beds here from IKEA. Not from IKEA. Okay. Maybe it's a fancier loft bed.
Mm-mm.
No. What's it like living in New York? Because that's like, yeah, cities here are nothing like that. And I don't know, that's kind of a very broad question. But do you enjoy it? Like, is it, I don't know.
So I've been born and raised in New York City. So I
Ah,
don't really know. I can't completely compare it to like living somewhere else, but I have stayed at, families in the suburbs or Long Island. And it is noisier, it is busier, but there's also so much convenience when you're living in a city like New York. It's like, doesn't
mm,
matter what hour of the day it is, what day of the week, or if it's a holiday, you need or want to go out and do something, just do it.
yeah, that'd be cool. There seems to be such a diverse array of shops there, like especially maker shops. Like there's like whole shops that are just about lace for, like sewing for lace, like and like just niche things that just don't exist anywhere else on the planet, and they're able to sustain themselves in New York, which just sounds so cool to me. Yeah, the convenience thing. I get it because that sounds amazing.
Yeah, I know there's a few blocks that are dedicated just to basically sewing and stuff like that, getting cloth and lace and buttons and
That sounds amazing. Dreamy. But I'm sure it's like that with any field. I just happen to know sewing really well, but I'm sure it's like that with anything. Like, just, yeah.
maybe, but surprisingly enough, I haven't really found a section that has a whole bunch of 3D printing stuff.
Ah,
It's
maybe this is a
not
niche
as
that needs filling.
maybe, but I know once I saw a 3D printing store near my home, and by the time I actually wanted to go and use the store, it was gone.
Oh no. We had one like that in the city here too. It was like a print on demand kind of walk-in service, but yeah, it only
Hmm.
lasted a couple of months, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yep.
I guess it's printers are so cheap now, you may as well just buy one.
This
Maybe
is true,
that's
yeah, compared to the prices that they would need to charge to sustain it, it is a bit hard to do now.
interesting. Oh, back on another weird question. Are there any projects that you've done that you think deserves a bit more recognition than they got? Like you really loved it and you thought it was going to be really cool and then no one really paid it any attention, but you thought it was really cool. Just want to give things like that a second chance.
Um, Not 100% sure. The one I think I would have enjoyed more people to at least know of would be maybe the rifle I made for Shay. The Earth rifle for that
Ah,
because
yes.
it was based on the rifle he has on the sticker for Alien 3D.
Yep.
So I tried to model that for him, and I showed it off on Earth, but I don't know. I don't think too many people really paid too much attention to it.
There was so much happening at Earth. It was probably just like,
Yeah,
there's just
that.
so much going on. I feel like I'm still recovering from all the things that were happening and I'm still finding out stuff that happened to Earth. And I was like, oh, really? That
Yeah.
was
So
months
yeah, a
ago
lot
now.
of things probably got overshadowed by bigger projects, bigger things, chocolate printers.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. It's amazing. Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll grab a link to that and we'll pop it in the description so people can check it out because I do remember seeing that and it was really cool. So, yes, more people should take a squiz. And oh gosh, we like sped through these questions. Dang. But what's coming up for you? What's next in your world? What are you focusing on in the coming weeks and months and yeah.
Um. So I know in the future I'm planning to try to do more weapons and props. I
Mhm.
know I started doing those a lot when I first started doing the modeling and social media, but then I've sort of backed off of it and I want to try to get back into those. So I know I
Awesome.
want to do one from Cyberpunk and a
Yes.
few other things hopefully come up. But in the immediate future, I do have a Christmas uh, little display type thing that I'm gonna release probably tomorrow or something like that that lights up.
Oh, that's so cute. Like a nativity kind of one or like a what sort of Christmas?
Actually,
Can you talk yet?
give
Or are
me
you
a
keeping it
sec.
secret? Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
give me a sec.
How exciting. Getting a preview. Oh my god. I hear rattling.
Here we go. So this one actually came a bit about because I remember seeing one for Halloween. And then thankfully I got all the parts I needed through the Alien boxes, the Alien 3D.
Awesome. Yep.
So I made this one.
Come
Oh,
on,
it's
camera.
probably blurry.
Focus. Oh, right.
One sec, let's see if we
Got the
can
fancy blur going
take
on.
that off. There we go.
It's
And here's a little switch.
beautiful. Oh, it's beautiful. I love it. Oh, that's so pretty. I love the way you did the perspective of like the window, how it looks like it's going back and stuff. Oh, it's
Yeah, so
beautiful. Well
it's
done.
several different layers stacked up with about 5 millimeters in between, and so it
That's
causes that effect.
Oh, I love it. Beautiful. Oh, I'll have to grab a link to that too because that's gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Well done.
Thank you.
And the props and things, are they so Cyberpunk? That'll be awesome. I'm so excited about that game. I think
Yes, I am too.
yeah, like I think this is the year where Cyberpunk will become mainstream. We've had like little bits of it happening over the last few years, and I think that game and like the whole situation of the world it's like this is gonna be the Cyberpunk year. It's gonna happen. Like everyone's gonna go
Yeah,
nuts for
I
Cyberpunk.
think it could.
I'm calling
Step
it. I'm
aside,
calling it now.
steampunk.
Yeah, no more steampunk. Be gone. Cyberpunk is where it's at. And we'll all have cyber decks, and it will be amazing. I think we'll see it though. I think like the technologies and stuff to like make cool light up stuff and interesting wearable stuff is like much more accessible now than it's ever been before. So I think I expect this year will be the cyber deck maker year.
It very much could be.
Oh, well, that's awesome. And so cyber deck you mentioned, are there any other series or genres or things that you're making props for that you know?
Not at the moment. Right now,
Okay,
that's
cool.
the one that I have in my mind. After
Well,
that,
those are very good goals.
maybe a unique lightsaber.
Ah, awesome. Always good. Always good. Hell yeah, hell yeah. Cool. So, was there anything else you wanted to chat about while we're here?
Mm, can't think of anything off the top of my head.
All good, all good. Then where can people find you?
So on both Twitter and Instagram, I have the same username. It's DSK001 underscore 3D.
Beautiful.
And on Reddit, it's just DSK001.
Perfect. Lovely. And we'll get your Etsy and your Patreon down there as well.
Thank you.
Are there any communities that you normally hang out in? Like Twitter, obviously, to make a community there. But are there any others you really enjoy and want to spruik?
So the one I'm in most would be Wexter's Discord. I know it's not exactly free to get into, but I've spent a lot of time chatting with the guys in there.
I've heard of that from a few people. Like, this seems like a magical place. Like, I've heard this from a few people now that Wexter's Discord is awesome. So, I have to
It's
get
pretty
Wexter on
interesting.
here.
I know I also lurk on yours quite often. Don't always
Do.
comment, but I tend to try to read as much as I can.
Oh, that's lovely. But I do see you comment a bit. I know you're there.
Yep.
That's awesome. Oh, cool. Yeah, I thought I might throw this question in because I was thinking lately with this series, it's really cool to meet so many awesome makers. But someone was saying it'd be cool if we had something similar for communities as well. So I want to start asking people what communities they hang out in and what they find good in those communities and all that sort of stuff too. And I was even thinking maybe somehow doing some sort of Zoom calls with communities and like getting a few people on who are really active there and I don't know. I'm playing with this idea because I feel like there's lots of cool communities out there, but unless you know of them, you don't know of them, you know? And yeah, it'd be cool to kind of highlight some of them, I think. I don't know. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that would be awesome. I'm
Okay.
guessing there's probably a few robotics communities or maker communities. Yeah, it should be quite interesting.
Okay, cool. Cool. All right. Well, that's at least one person who thinks it's not a terrible idea. Well, this has been lovely. Thank you so much for chatting with us and yeah, letting us get to know you a bit more and your work. And I really appreciate this time and sharing all your wisdoms.
No, thanks for having me. It was quite fun.
Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I will see you on the internet.
That you will.
I am loving making this series, and if you are too, please support me on Patreon so I can keep making more. Top supporters will appear in this list of legends, and the topmost supporter gets a special shout out, so thank you, Loyal Moses. You are absolutely wonderful. I know you don't only support me, but so many others in the community, and you're awesome for it. Thank you. You can meet another maker here, And here's a video YouTube thinks you'll like. If you want to catch up with any of us, all our socials are in the description below. See you later!